All right. All right, so we're talking about place values, okay? We're going to talk about basically all the way from the hundred billions all the way to the millions, okay? So when we talk about place values, okay, there's two different ways that we'll do place values. First one is standard form, like we have here, okay, and this is in your book, so you don't have to, like I said the other day, you don't have to copy it down. Another way is word form, okay. We rarely use the expanded form, okay, or the short word form, okay. We will occasionally use this, not a whole lot in 6th grade. Do a little bit more in 7th grade, but we don't use it a lot, okay, so I don't spend a lot of time on it. I spend more time on, obviously knowing the place values and knowing how to write the word in word form, okay, because realistically, if you ever earn any money, you're eventually going to have to write a number in word form, okay, whether it's to get money out of the bank, whether it's to pay bills, every time a person, now realistically, a lot of people don't write checks these days, okay, they pay everything electronically, okay, so you don't write checks like you used to, but used to you have to write checks, 2 or 3 a week. You got to write the word out, you got to write the number out in words, okay, so obviously you need to know how to do that so your check is good and you write it for the right amount. You don't write it for, $1,000 instead of $100, okay? It's a big difference when you're writing a check. And then, somebody gets $900 extra bucks for it, okay? But we've got to know our place values. Now, what realistically happens is most of the time people have trouble in this area down here. Usually on the left side of the decimal, we don't have trouble with, okay? It's usually on the right side of the decimal, as you're looking at the number, that people will get confused on, okay? Just like in whole numbers, decimals has standard form, word form, short word form, and expanded form. As I stated for this one, the main one we're going to look at today is here, standard form and word form, and a little bit of expanded form. Not a lot, okay, but just a little on the expanded form, okay? What I want to look at is one of the problems that you're going to have tonight so we can give you some examples of how you need to do your work, okay? Let's look at problem number. Let me make sure on the number. I think it's 2, but let me make sure. Yeah, let's look at problem number 2, okay? Problem number 2 says, I don't want to use that color. Go back to my regular pen. Problem number 2 says 3.0519. Is that right? Huh? Yeah, okay. All right, so 3.0519, okay? The first thing we do when we're writing a number in word form, okay, we're writing a decimal number in word form, is we have to identify that place value, okay? We have to identify that place value because when we're dealing with decimals, the last digit's place value has to be the last words of what we say, okay? Now, as with decimals, over here we start with tenths, okay? We start with tenths, okay? You don't start with ones like you do on the left side. You start with tenths, okay? So if I have 0.1, that's a tenth. 1/10. If I have 0.2, that's 2/10. 0.3, 3/10. 0.4, so on and so forth, okay? Another way to think about it is money. If you have 0.1, you have a tenth of a dollar, which is 10 cents, okay? And so 0.1 is the tenths. Well, obviously, this number, so there's the tenths place value, okay? So this, the 5 is what? The hundredths place value. The 1 would be thousandths place value. And the 9 then would be 10,000. Now, what you have to do to distinguish between the whole number side of the decimal and the decimal side of the decimal is this right here, the THS. The THS on your place value tells you that this is a decimal, okay, and that it is a decimal number. Okay, if I just wrote the word 10,000, okay, well 10,000 would be this. Okay, 10,000ths is okay, so that's the difference between those two place values. And you will notice that a lot of times when I say the decimal place values, I will emphasize the THS, so 10,000ths, okay, instead of 10,000. All right? So when we're emphasizing the decimals, we have to have the THS on our place value. Now, to write this number in words, which is one of the things that we're mainly doing today in this assignment, is we're going to write in words the numbers. Okay? So we start with the very first digit. The very first digit is what in the number? What's the very first digit on the left? 3. And what place value is it in? No? Ones. Yeah. Okay? Just plug it into this right here, which is the number right before the decimal, so it would go there, 0, 519, 519. Okay? So, that tells us then, to write it in words, we say 3. Now, for a decimal, you write the word and. Okay? So anytime I see the decimal right here, I must write the word and. So 3 and, okay? Now, once I get to this point, I want to forget about this. How would you say that number right there? Do we need the 0? If that's just a regular number, do we need the 0? No. So how would I say that number? Somebody say it to me. 519. That's how we say that number. Then we have to put the place value on it. So we have 519 10,000ths. And that's how you write it. That's the answer in word form for that number. Okay? Identified the place value at the end, so we can identify it here at the end. The rest of it is just like a regular number, 519. Okay? So, that's word form for that number. Now, let's look at expanded form. Okay? There's 2 types of expanded form. The type that you're going to use today is, I don't want to say it's not really the most common. The most common expanded form is when you write it with exponents. Okay? Every place value has an exponent. Okay? And here's what I mean. If I go back up here and I look at our number chart, okay, the ones place value is 10 to the 0. Okay? The tens value is 10 to the first. Okay? The hundreds value is 10 to the second. Because if I take 10 to the second, that's 10 times 10, which is equal to what? 100. No, times 10 times 10, not 10 plus 10. 10 times 10 is equal to 100. Okay? Well, the hundreds place value is equal to 100. Okay? And so it continues to go up, so the thousandths place value would be what? 10 to the what power? If the hundreds is 10 to the second, 10 to the third. Okay, so 10 thousandths would be 10 to the 4th, and then it just keeps going from there. 10 to the 5th, 10 to the 6th, 10 to the 7th, and so on. Okay, so it never ends, basically. Okay, there's, all the different numbers that you've heard, Google million, all that. I don't know if that's all true or not. I don't ever have to deal with that, so I don't care. To be honest. You have zillion, you have trillion, you have, all that stuff, and every one of those place values is going to have a 10 power raised to a certain exponent. So, if this is 10 to the 0, then this one has to be 10 to the negative first power. Okay? So this one then has to be 10 to the negative second power. So now we're going down. We're getting smaller. This would be 10 to the negative third power. This would be 10 to the negative fourth power. Now, for our purposes today, we are not going to write this in expanded form with exponents like this has. Okay? We're not going to do that today. Okay, eventually, I think in 7th grade we do a little bit of it, 8th grade we do a little bit of it, 6th grade we don't, okay? We don't write it with exponents, I don't think. Well, I may be wrong. It's been a while since, let's see here. I don't believe we do. No, they're not going to tell you to. Okay, now, their expanded form, they're just going to take each place value, like here, this number here, 5 billion, okay? Large number, 5 billion. Okay. Well, they write it in word form. It's right here: 5,913,603,800. You will notice in there's no and. Okay. The word and is not in that description. Okay. Well, the reason being is because this is a whole number. It doesn't have a decimal. It doesn't have any decimals on it. Okay. So the word and is not going to be there. Okay, it's just simply going to be that number. Now, to write it in expanded form, what they did is they said, okay, here's the 5 digit. It's in the billionths place value. So how do I write 5 billion? Well, I write 5 billion, a 5 with 9 zeros after it. Right down here, 5 with 9 zeros after it. Plus the next digit. The next digit is a 9, so if I had 9 zeros after the number here, how many am I going to have here? How many? 8. Okay. So 9 with 8 zeros after it. So with the 1, how many am I going to have there? Looky there, the exponent. You have 7 zeros after the 1. That's why it's 10 to the 7th power. Okay. Here, after the 3, you're going to have how many zeros? 6. That's why it's 10 to the 6th power. Okay. So that's why I wanted you to see those exponent, because it also represents the number of zeros that are in that place value. Okay? And that's why when you get down here, you will notice 5 billion, 900 million, 10 million, 3 million, 600,000, 3,800. So they took each one of those digits and took the number of zeros after it. Okay, that's why the 1's place value is 10 to the 0 power. Because how many zeros are after 1? If I want to write the number 1, would there be any zeros after it? No, there's 0 zeros. That's why it's 10 to the 0 power. Okay, now when you get to here, the reason this is negative 1 is this. If I write 0.01, okay, that would mean that it goes in this box right here. Okay, now, the reason over here that we don't have, I'm in this box, why don't I have 2 zeros? Can somebody take a guess why I don't have 2 zeros in front of the number instead of just 1 in 0.01? Why would that be the case? Staley, what do you think? That's one of the reasons. It's not the reason I'm looking for, but yes, that is a good explanation for it. Okay? Well, what do we start with on the right side of the decimal? Do we start with ones or do we start with tenths? Tenths. So the reason that we don't have 2 zeros and then the 1, like we have here, a 1 with 2 zeros after it, is because one of our place values is not there. We don't start with the 1 on the right side of the decimal. We don't start with the ones. Okay, we start with the tenths. Okay, so one of the place values is gone, so therefore we can't have another 0 in front of this. The other reason is what Staley said. Because it's in the hundredths, we got to have a place for the 1 to be. If I put the 1, if we did this, it's moving on me. If I did this, if I put 2 zeros in front of it, well, now I have a totally different number. I have 1/1000ths. Okay? And so that's why there's not going to be 2 zeros in it for the hundredths place value. That's why the 10 to the negative second power is also not going to be 2 zeros. Now understand that each one of these, let me write the other one as well, they can also be represented by fractions. Okay? This is 1 over 10. This is 1 over 100. This is 1 over 1,000. Okay, that's the fractional equivalent along with your exponent equivalents for those place values. Okay, now, so if I wanted to write this number, 3.0519, in expanded form, okay, so expanded form for that number would be the 3. Is there any zeros in the 1's place value? We just discussed it. No, there's not. So I put 3 plus, the next number is 0. I don't need to include 0. 0, 0, it's not worth anything, okay? So I move to the next digit. The next digit is the 5. So I put plus 0.05. Then I move to the next number, 1. So that would be plus 0.001. Then I move to the last number, plus 0.0009. Okay, and there is your expanded form for that number, 3.0519. Okay, now, I want you to take just a second, because a lot of you are not writing this down. I want you to write it down. Okay, write it down in your notes section. Anything I put on the screen, you need to write down. Here's why. Many reasons why, but the main reason is this is your first problem in your homework tonight. Okay, every problem I do, for the most part, is going to come directly from your homework. So now, when you get it home tonight and you got to do your homework, you've already got the first problem done for you. All you got to do is copy it. Here it is in Word. Here it is in expanded form. Okay, we're going to do some more. I know it's not going to click with just one example. We're going to do some more, but I want you to copy that down first. Now, this weekend, I will send out a couple of different emails with a couple of different links to all the classes but you will have access to these notes, okay? So if I ever get going too fast in class and we got to move quickly, you'll be able to go online, look at the notes, get them into your notes. As soon as in fact, the link that I will provide to you, most of the time they're already, linked up. As soon as I write the word, 2 seconds later it's on the where you can go to look at them, okay? I'm noticing right now that my sync up here is not really working, so I'll have to see if there's an issue. All right. Now, move it up just a little so I got a little bit more room here. Let's look at another one. All right. Now, most people, when they're saying numbers, have a tendency to say them wrong. Okay, and it's not a big mistake, but it is a mistake. A lot of people, when they read this number, will say 151,072,830. Okay, I just used the and word, right, when I said it? Okay, I said and always represents what? A decimal. So what I said would be written 151,072,000.830. Well, that's not that number. How you really say that number is 151,072,830. Okay, there's no and in there. But we're taught when we're saying stuff, a lot of times when we pause, when we're catching our breath, we might say the and. Okay. Now, obviously, if you're saying it like that, I'm going to say, hey, remember, no and. But if you write it like you say it, then it will be wrong. If you write 151,072,830, that's wrong. Okay, and it will be counted wrong. All right. How you write this number is simply this way: 151. Write this down. Million, comma, 72,000, comma, 830. This is actually number 8 from your homework tonight. So that's in one word form. 151 million, comma, 72,000. You will notice that my commas here correspond with the commas here. Okay? You will also notice that there is a hyphen between the 70 and the 2. Any numbers like 72, 88, 99, 92, they require you to put a hyphen between it. So if it's 21 to 99 and it's 2 words, there's going to be a hyphen. Now, obviously, the number 30 is between 21 and 99, right? But is there 2 words? 30. No, there's not 2 words, so there's no hyphen for it. 31, yes. 30 hyphen 1. Okay? Now, I don't get so meticulous that, oh, you forgot your hyphen, it's wrong. Okay? But you need to know that when you write a number between 21 and 99, and there's 2 words to describe it, it needs to have a hyphen between the 2 words. Okay? Like, for example, right here, should have been a hyphen. I get to writing so fast sometimes I forget to put my hyphens in there as well. Okay? So there should be a hyphen between 51. All right, now, let's look at it in expanded form. So I'm going to do the same thing I did a while ago, okay, in expanded form. So this is how you're going to do number 8. All right, so the first place value is the 1. And we said that's in what place value? What is that 1 in? What is that place value right there? If you look at your book and look at your place value chart, okay, what is that place value for the 1? Do what? 100 million, okay? And the reason we know it's 100 million because we said 100 million, okay? Now, obviously, the 51 is there too, okay, but all I have to know is that it's in the 100 millionths place. So I write in expanded form 100 million plus. The next one is 51, but we know that it's a 5. So we go 5 that's how you write 50 million. So now I'm just taking off zeros each time. The first number had how many zeros? How many? 8. The second number had how many? 7. So this number, which is the 1, is going to have 6. So plus 1 with 6 zeros after it. Plus. Now here, you don't have to write that. Okay? You don't have to write it. You can. I would suggest not doing it. Now, here's another way how you can tell how many zeros go after the number. If we look at this number here, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 zeros, right? Okay, well, let's go back up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That lets you know how many zeros need to be after it. So I did that because I want you to look at 7. I'm going to put the number 7 right there, and I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 zeros after it. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's how you can tell how many zeros go after the number. So now I've got the 2, and I have how many zeros after it? 3. Now I've got the 8, and I have 2 zeros after it because it's in the 800s place value. Then I've got the 3, and I've got a 0 after it. Now you can leave it like that, and it will be right. Or if you need to, you're one of those people that just got to finish it out, you could do that, and it's still right. Okay, whatever way you're more comfortable with. Okay, so that's how you write that number in expanded form. So there's 2 answers to this problem. The directions tell you to write each number in word form and in expanded form. Okay, so this is word form, 151,072,830, and then expanded form is this right here. Okay, now let's look at this. Let's take a number that is an expanded form. For example, wow, that's a huge one there. Everybody look at number 12. Instead of me writing it, I want you to look at number 12 in the book. Okay, everybody found number 12? Okay. I want you to write that number in standard form. So, for example, let me give you a short example. Short example would be this. Okay, this is a short example. So, the first number is 50,000. Okay, so I write a 5. The next one is 1,000 or 4,000. So is that right after 50,000? Is 10,000 right after 1,000? Or is 1,000 right after 10,000? Yes or no? You go 10,000, then you go the next one would be 1,000. Next one would be what? 100, tens, ones. Okay? So 5, the 4 just comes down to there. Okay? Is the place value tens right after 1,000? What's right after 1,000 in your place value chart? Hundreds. So is that got 100 with it? No. So I have to put a 0. Okay? Because there's a 0 right here before I move to the tens place value. Now I can move to the tens place value and put the 2. So I brought the 5 there, I brought the 4 there, I brought that 0 there, I brought the 2 there, and so the next one is the 5. So 54,025, and that's your answer. Okay, that's going from expanded form to standard form. Okay, that's one of the things they're going to ask you to do on the work tonight. Okay, to go from expanded form to standard form. Okay, so I want you to do number 12 on your own. Okay, so look at number 12. Okay, do number 12 on your own. They want you to take it from expanded form to standard form. When you think you have the answer, raise your hand. Miss Joy, what do you think? $32 billion? No, you're a little off. You're right there. It's very, very close. You just and that's the bad thing about this. You can just be one digit off, and you're obviously getting it wrong. But she's very close. I saw her paper, and she's very close. Help her out, Noah. Yes, that is correct. 320 billion. What was next, Noah? 50 million? 50, so that means 0, 5, 0. That's 50 million and 81,000. So that's another 0 with the 81. And then what's the last part? 40? So each one of them, if we look at it, each one of them, they had a 0 there before the place value, 0 there, and the 0 there. That won't always be the case, okay? But that is the correct number, okay? That is the correct number. Now, you can do it one of two ways. You can actually add them up, okay? Some of you may have done that, where you just take them and line them up and add it up, okay? You can do that. Or you have to just basically, you just have to take each place value, like that first one was 300 billion, plus the next one was this, okay? And you just have to start bringing them down. Well, I've got how many zeros there? How many? There's 11, right? And how many total digits are there in that number? 12. So the easiest way to do it is this. Do you 12 blanks That's 12. Yep, that's 12. Do 12 blanks. Okay, well, I know in the first blank is that. Okay, well, I know in the second blank we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's your 2. It goes there because there's 10 zeros after the 2. Okay? The next one, we didn't have anything. In fact, the next number that we have is what? 50 million. 50 million. So 50. I'm going to try to write it smaller here so I can get it on there. So the next one's 50 million. That means I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 zeros. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That means the 5 has to go there. Okay, well, if the 5 goes there, then we have to fill in the other 2 spaces. So the other 2 spaces, I fill in with zeros. Okay, so that's another way that you can do it. I would highly suggest doing that when you come to decimal numbers. For example, all right, and once again, this is the answer to number 12, okay? Let's say I had a decimal number that looked like this. Let's say I had 0.06927. Okay? Well, actually, I don't want to do that. I want to go the other way. I actually wrote it in standard form. Let's say I had 0.6 plus 0.002 plus 0.0004 plus 0.00007. Okay. Well, that has how many, what's this, how many digits does this have? No, total digits. 5. So that means I've got to have a decimal with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 place values. Okay. Now I start. That's right next to the decimal. So I got to put it right next to the decimal. This is 1, 2, 3 from the decimal. So 1, 2, 3 would put that there. That means I have to put a 0 right there. This is 1, 2, 3, 4 from the decimal. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So that 4 would go there. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so that means the 7 goes there. So 0.60247. And that's my answer for that number, going from expanded form to standard form. Okay? Now, here's what your homework is for tonight. Okay? It's not a lot, but there are a couple of, obviously you got several answers, and we've already done quite a few of them in class. Still have to do them. You still have to take them from your notes and put them in your homework. Your homework is 1.1. Okay, that's what we talked about the other day, Chapter 1, Section 1, or in this case it says Chapter 1, Lesson 1. And we're going to do 1 through 16 even. Okay, so that means you're doing problem number 2, problem number 4, problem number 6, problem number 8, problem number 10, problem number 12, problem number 14, and problem number 16. Okay, some of those problems you have 2 answers, word form and expanded form. Okay, so that is due tomorrow when you come in. Tomorrow when you come in, we're going to grade it. Here's how I want you to do it. If this is your paper, okay, let's say that's your paper. First line, you put 1.1, put a dash, and put 1 through 16 even. Go ahead and do that. Go turn to your homework section, not in your notes section, in your homework section. Go to the second section of your spiral. And at the very top of the first page, put that. 1.1, 1 through 16 even. Okay? You're going to start with number 1, you're going to start with number 2, you're going to get to the answer, then you're going to go to number 4. Okay? You're going to get the answer, then you're going to go to number 6. Work downward on your paper. Don't work side to side. Okay? That is due tomorrow. Are there any questions? Any questions? All right. Now remember, you can go to my YouTube channel and you can look up 1.1, whatever this is, it's place values, and it'll have 2014 after it, so you know it's today's lesson. All right, you may go.